All right, everybody, about a month ago, we launched a brand new Amazon store. I made 2 separate videos on this so far, documenting the foundations we've done. And today I have the month 1 update for you guys. I'm going to go over a bunch of mistakes I've made. I'm going to go over numbers, how much money we've made so far, units I've sold through, what I've noticed has now started to kind of happen as I'm building sales, and pretty much just give you guys a full run through of day 0 to day 30, what we've been able to accomplish and what you can expect. Also, like how much time I spent on the business, because quite frankly, I really only spent a couple hours on the weekends working on this. Now, keep this in mind, I've been doing this for 4 years. It's very easy for me to go in and source inventory. So as a new seller, you're gonna need to spend more time than that. But just so you can see, once you know things, like what you can actually do with this business with less time, essentially. Now, I wanna quickly go over again what the goals of these videos are, what the goals with this account is, what we're trying to get to, and what we really started with, okay? Because this is an account we started with about $5,000. I went over all of this in the very first video I made, but we started with $5,000, about $4,800 after we did the LLC stuff. So I am not putting any more money into this other than just that starting budget. I want to give you guys a realistic example and what you can expect to what you can do essentially with this business if you start with right around $5,000. Now, we've only actually spent about 2,500 bucks on inventory, and these are the numbers we have so far. We're going to go over all the business assets, profits as well towards the middle half of this video. But before that, I just want to give you another refresher on like why I'm doing this. Like I want you guys to see there's a lot of BS out there, a lot of people telling you this is like a get rich quick type thing, and like they just show you their sales and say I made 100 grand this month, right? When we all know that that's not all profit. So we're going to go over numbers, like, and these are, you know, we have some pretty healthy margins here, which you're going to see. This isn't very common either for new sellers. So this is kind of like over the edge of like what can be done with proper methods and stuff. But yeah, we're starting with 5 grand. We're not putting any additional money in. We're not using business credit. We're going to use this 5 grand, slowly compound it over the course of several months, maybe upwards of several years, until we get to a point where this business consistently produces us $5,000 with me doing little to no work. We're going to outsource all those things over, again, like this is going to last for a long time. This business is going to grow and you're going to see the growth progression. I'm going to do videos very, very frequently so you guys can see what's going on in the business. Now, I want to go over some mistakes that I've made, because there's some mistakes that I did, which I shouldn't have done, and I kind of knew it, that have kind of caused a big slow up in inventory moving in. So number one being is we sent in a regular shipment, a minimal shipment split. So this is just sending my inventory to one location, paying a placement fee. I sent it in because I didn't have that many units and I just wanted to get inventory in. I was very impatient. This inventory is literally still in receiving. So it's been almost a month now. I sent it in October 15th and it's still in receiving. I have some inventory that trickled in, but majority of them are literally in transfers. And I'm like, you know, like a month's a long time. Like money's tied up. That's not efficient whatsoever. I know it's Q4, so check-ins are a little bit slower, but honestly, it's kind of the luck of the draw when you're doing minimal shipment splits. You don't really have control over your inventory getting checked in. So that was the first mistake I made, was just not being patient and waiting for more inventory to come in to then do an optimized shipment, because I did do an optimized shipment about a week later. I sent that inventory, and I don't know the exact date. I'll find it. I'll put like a screenshot here or something. I sent it in on like a Friday, and then by Monday, I already had inventory being received and actually selling. I started to make sales literally within that weekend span of sending in the Amazon optimized shipment, right? The one location received things, they went straight into available, and I was already making sales on units. So going forward, I'm never sending anything again, especially during this time of the year, that's not optimized shipping. Okay, that's one rule I made. We sent in upwards of like 250 units, and the ones that were optimized was right around 170 units. So yeah, those things have slowly been checking in and getting sold. But again, not everything has fully been checked in yet. Even the ones that were optimized, the way optimized works, it's like a slow progression of inventory going in. So it's not like everything just dumps all at once. It's like, okay, 5 units are available, sell through, another 5 come in, sell through. So like actively right now with the inventory, which once you see the numbers, like I pretty much am not available in anything right now. Everything is still in transfers. The things that go available are selling through immediately, because I made sure that as soon as my stuff was getting in and getting received, I turned on a repricer, right? I'm using Aura and they're repricing everything for me. And you're going to see actually some products here. I'm like, there's literally products I'm selling through where if you look at the chart, you would think it's selling consistently at 15 bucks. But I'm getting sales at 21, I'm getting sales at 18, but you wouldn't even be able to see on the buy box chart that that's happening. And that's why it's so important. This is so crucial that you want to get a repricer set up. Like if you're new and your margins suck, this is the easiest way to just get it on, turn it on, and like allow it to do its thing, because I literally am getting sales upwards of $7, $8 over what you would expect to sell it at. And that has nothing to do with me. Obviously, I bought the products with lower offers, so that gives some room there. You have to be buying good products to do this. It's not like every product's going to do that. But paired that with a repricer, your margins are going to exponentially shoot up. So that's one really benefit, and one big thing I recommend to anybody is like, get a repricer right away. There's a lot of them. I prefer Aura. They just work very well. It's a very, very good software for repricing. Now, the very first sale I made was on October 27th. That was the first sale that I made that day. So far, my best day was November 3rd, and I did $50 in profit. I sold about $255 worth of inventory, and I made $50 on that. Now, over the course of this time, I've been building out a lead bank, and these are, again, just leads that I'm currently restricted in, because again, it's a brand new account. This is also a big reason why I'm making this, is to like update my group on what it's taken, show them the exact methods I'm doing to find the auto approvals, and just to kind of explain to you guys on here on YouTube that are getting this info is like, this is what I'm kind of realizing is what's happening with approvals. So literally like 1 in maybe 20 leads that I was looking through with no sales was approved. Like very, very, very slim to none. Even with the methods I was using, it's still slim to none. Now, the way that we filter through things, I only look at the ones that are approved, but when I gather a big list of leads inside of Keepa, literally like 95% of them were restricted. So I only had to like narrow it down to that 5%, and I was able to find products in there. That's kind of how I got the start on it. But these are still leads in here that I know are going to be approved extremely, extremely soon as I build these sales. Okay. And I'll tell you so far what amount of units we've sold, but I started to notice around 60 sales. So after I made about 60 sales, I started to notice more of these products in my lead bank that I've been able to find with these methods are starting to become auto approved now, right? So there is a nice little sweet spot probably around like the 50 sale mark to where you start to get more approvals. And what I'm really gunning for with this account, and why I haven't spent the full $5,000 yet, because I'm saving it to disperse on more better products here, is I'm waiting until we sell through everything we've sent in so far until we can get to about the 200 sale mark, because that's when I know for certain that this lead bank with the way that we're sourcing should just literally 90% of them start to be approved. And then I can come into here, spend the rest of my money on some better leads, and then really start to compound after that. So really like the first 1 to 2 months, and this is my goal for this account, and what I tell people is just build sales. Now do it, try and do it profitably, of course. Don't just spend money to make sales and not make money. Of course, if you're unable to source, then you might have to, but have a strategy, find good leads. You know, we're just literally trying to sell through 200 units. So far I have about 255 units that have been sent in, waiting for those to sell through. I'm going to give you guys an update here in a second, how much we've done so far and how much profit we've made as well. But that's what we're really gunning for. And honestly, it's just a matter right now of just waiting for the inventory to be fully received. The stuff that are being received are selling through quick because of Aura, and we're making really healthy margins on these, which you'll see here in a sec too. I'm going to give you guys a whole like asset breakdown of like how much we started with, which was around $4,800 after the LLC fee. So about $4,800, and we're actually very much in the green if we're looking at our projections that Seller Board has given us, which again, I'm going to show you guys here in a sec. Now, here's one issue that literally just happened today. And now you're going to see this reflected in the numbers here as well when I break them down. But I sell, like there's a lot of grocery stuff that I'm selling. And one item I had one customer buy 9 of. Okay, so right off the bat is a little bit sus. Like, why are you buying 9 of these? You know, it's not like a bulk deal or anything. So they bought 9 of these. This was like 2 weeks ago. And this morning, I just got notified that all of them were like adjusted, like refunded to the customer. And this is a grocery item. So it was marked under a general adjustment, which is pretty much like them complaining about something or something happening and Amazon just giving them their reimbursement. I got to kind of wait for it to go through. Currently, it's in my defects and reimbursement dashboard. So I'm waiting for it to process through. I'm going to need to get that reimbursed somewhere or another. So I'm waiting to see like what the issue was. There's no like reason as to why it was returned or why it was issued anyways. I think it's because it literally happened like 2 hours before I'm filming this. So this is super, super fresh, but it immediately got removed from my payments. It was $80 worth of money just taken out of my payments that you're going to see in my asset page is now gone because of these returns. Now I'm going to actively pursue this once I'm able to, and I'm going to make sure I'm getting as much of that reimbursed as possible. And this is another very important topic here, is make sure we have something in place to monitor this. So like as soon as I saw the refund came in, I double checked to see what happened. It looked sus to begin with. It was a grocery item for whatever reason. It was a person that bought 9 of them, and they were also like issued in weird increments. It wasn't like it all got reissued. It was like 2 of them got reissued, then 3 of them got reissued, then the other 5 got reissued, or 4, and it didn't make much sense. So something fishy is going on. I'm waiting for the time to pass, and I will try and get that reimbursed. I know I'll be able to get it reimbursed one way or another. It's just a matter of getting it all back. That's the thing with Amazon nowadays, is like the reimbursement levels, they don't always give you back what you're actually owed. And it's kind of part of the business. That's why you need healthy margins to account for any leakage that happens like that. We'll do our best. You're going to see it's kind of like not negative. We're still in the green, but that $80 we lost is obviously a big chunk of loss when we're operating at such a small scale, right? Because we're not spending 10 grand a month on inventory or 30 or 50 grand a month on inventory. We're only spending about 2,500 right now. And then once we disperse the rest of 5 grand, that's still kind of a small scale, right? Any of these returns or subscription fees or miscellaneous things you have to pay for can take a massive blow to your business when you're operating on a small scale. So you got to make sure you're really, really refining it. And that's why I'm going to actively pursue this return. As soon as I'm able to, I'm going to make sure that we're getting as much of that back as possible. One way or another, I'm going to submit it to Amazon and we'll get it cleared up. I'm not worried about that. But yeah, just so you guys see when I show you the numbers that will be affected in here, and it will be like, you'll see that it's missing. So now let's get to the numbers, okay? Let's look at what we've been able to do so far. So our current numbers, according to our gross profits, we'll go over like what our total assets in a sec. We've been able to sell about $1,200 worth of inventory, about 276 profit. Again, this is gross. This is based off Aura, just gross. We're selling inventory consistently at about a 50% ROI, which is giving us about a 22% margin, which these margins are very healthy. If I can scale this, we'll be doing 5K profit in no time as I keep compounding this money back into the business. We've done about 81 sales. Here's like a chart you can kind of see of the actual sales and like how much we sell each day. Our total buy box so far is 4.7%. Now this is very misleading because this is like the whole 30 days. And since we've only came into stock recently, you can kind of see right here, it's more so we're averaging about 20 to 15% buy box a day. So this is important to a new seller that doesn't understand buy box. You think that as a new seller, you're not getting sales. That's far from true. As long as you're pricing competitively, which Aura is doing for us, these are all Aura stats right here, you will get some sales. And yeah, that honestly has nothing to do with rotation when you're talking about arbitrage specific listings here. So you can see that it's very present. And again, these units that have sold are units that are available. I think I only have one ASIN currently that I actually have in stock that's moving a little bit slower than I anticipated. One of them that I probably wouldn't have bought as much of if I would have known. The listing it didn't take a turn for the worse. It's still profitable, but it's not as good as I thought it was going to turn out to be. That's one of the ASINs so far. So that's one that is available that's slowly starting to move through. But as far as everything else that's been available, it literally flies. As soon as it's in stock, it's gone. So I'm literally waiting for the remainder, like 170-ish units or 100, whatever many units are left, which actually I can see right here in a sec. When I look at my inventory levels, we'll see how much is left in stock. Those are, like as soon as they're available, they're selling through. So I just got to wait for them to check in. Again, this is the point of Amazon. It's like, this is why once we're actually not past this first stage, once it's like a consistent flow of spending money, inventory going in, inventory selling through, getting paid out, you don't even really think about this. This isn't a concern because it's just like a revolving door. It's a revolving door of you spending money, you sending inventory in, that inventory selling every single day as things like trickle in, payouts coming, and then repeating that process. So it's just like a flowing door. Like every single day you're getting paid out, every single day you're putting it back to more inventory and you're restocking, or you're doing it weekly, however you prefer to do your purchases, and then it flows nice and smooth. So right now it's just annoying because we've only sent in 2 shipments and we don't really have control over it. You only have control over your shipments when you're consistently sending them in, because then you're not fully reliant on one of those shipments. You have everything flowing in simultaneously, and it's just like a nice revolving door. So this is misleading for month 1, but this is what you're going to expect. It's very unpredictable when it comes to shipments. Now let's look at the inventory levels and assets currently. How much do we actually have, right? We started with 5 grand. We spent 200 bucks on the LLC. We were left with about 4,800 bucks. Let's add some numbers up based on everything that we've been able to take. And I just scraped all these numbers literally before I made this video. So we have about $2,200 left inside of the business bank account. Nothing has been added to it. This is just how much is left of stuff we have not spent on inventory yet. So $2,200 there. As far as inventory inside of Amazon goes, right? We have 163 units that have not been sold out yet. So these are things that are still being transferred. We have about 760 in cost of goods, and based on their projections here, about 582 of that is a profit, which kind of lines up with about like what our current numbers are at. Maybe this is a little bit overestimated, but nonetheless, we can take these numbers. These items are all priced competitively. We can take these numbers here, add them together, and kind of like extrapolate what total cash we currently have in inventory that I can expect to come back to me as these inventories and stuff start to move out. Now, obviously, this is not like 1000% accurate, but it's a very close number that we can kind of gauge to make sure that our store is still processing and operating at a healthy rate and we're actually in the green. As far as payments go, this is $589 currently. Again, before that return came in, which I am going to actively pursue to get refunded, we had an additional $80 in there. So it was actually at about $669. However, now it's fallen because of that return, which again, we will get back. So just keep that in mind. We're going to have to stay on top of that. And we have about 9 open orders that are not reflected yet inside of, right? These open orders are not reflected in here yet. Once these go through and are shipped, this 136 about will get reflected in here, and that'll get added to that. So that's like, again, like assets that we own. Like this is money that is ours. It's just in the process of being transferred over to here. So that's what we got there. And as far as unshipped items, here's another mistake I actually made. I have over $1,000 of inventory just sitting in the basement right now that need to be shipped in, but I can't yet because they're still restricted, right? Like these listings still look healthy. I make sure when I buy things, I'm not buying stupid stuff. I thought that I'd be able to just order it and use their invoices, which again is like, you can do so for some brands, but these were not auto approved. And these are listings that I just have not been able to send in yet because of that. So we're kind of sitting on this. Actually, to be honest, actually, this is not all restricted stuff. I do have about, I want to say maybe like half of this is about gated things, about 600. The other 600 is units that is ready to go in. I'm just waiting to get more units ordered and sent in so I can actually optimize that shipping and get it for a cheap enough per unit price, because that stuff will start to ship in soon. So that'll probably be by the end of this week. I'll get that shipment in there too. But again, this is like a total tally of cash that we currently have invested into our business. This is pretty much everything that I got here. So let's just do some math here to see what we're currently sitting at. So if we have our total inside the bank, we'll take our cost of goods so far. We'll take our payout, which is $589. We'll take our open orders, which is $136, and then we'll take our unshipped things that have not been shipped in yet, that's not factored in here. And we're sitting at about $5,000.54. Now, again, this is, so remember, we started with about $4,800, not including LLC. Again, I guess that's still an expense, but besides the point, that's not something that's going to be consistently an expense. We were sitting at, if we minus this $4,800 from here, about $254 profit of things that we've sold through, which is pretty much spot on with what Aura is telling us. This is things that have been sold through. $254 profit on $1,200 worth of sales. And we're projected still based on current prices to also make, once our inventory checks in here, let me grab my calculator, an additional $582. So about $836. So again, if we take all these numbers, we re-add that $4,800 we just subtracted, our store is at about $5,600. Once everything moves through properly, again, like, and this is not included, by the way, right here of profits. This is just cost of goods. So there's still profits on top of this too, but not including that. We've turned about $4,800 into about $5,636 of assets that have not sold through yet, guys. So look at this. Like, this is like your brutally honest take of what it really looks like starting a business. We're in the green. We have made money, but you can't put money into an Amazon business and then think that the next month you're just going to pull out a bunch of money in profit, right? This is not a business you start if you need to make money next week. This is a business that you start and expect that for the first 1 to 3 months, you go through this transitional period here of getting inventory in and selling through and then turning it until you get to a point where you're consistently cash flowing. This is going to take us several months. We're only on about day 34 or 35, I believe. And it's during Q4, which means inventory is taking a little bit longer to check in. I would have liked for this to honestly move a bit quicker. But if this isn't brutally honest to you, I don't know what is, right? I make this video because the last thing I want to do is make people assume that this is a get rich quick scheme, right? And we're starting with a decent amount of capital. $5,000 is a lot of money to some people, right, that want to start a business like this. This is just what it is. This is a note to any new seller watching this video. Here's what you can expect going into it, right? We are in the green, we're making money, but don't expect to put $5,000 in. And then if you need that $5,000 for bills, you're not going to be able to pull it back out. It's going to be inside of assets here. But if you have capital laying around, if you're trying to make like a cash flowing business over the next year and you want to like build this thing up to get it to a point where which we will get this store to, this is a great business model to do that with. But just realize that the money you put in, don't expect to just be able to pull it out next month because it's going to be tied up in inventory. And this is just the brutal reality of it. I know a lot of people flex lifestyle things as far as Amazon goes. Guys, this is like cold hard. This is an Amazon business that we got to build up and scale. And I don't know of any business that is actually like that. It's just a lot of people obviously, grifting and lying on social media to try and sell things. But this is just the reality of it. Okay, it takes time to build this up. We're doing this at a very healthy margin. I mean, this is also not very realistic for a brand new seller to be doing these types of margins. So this is with great numbers, right? And it's still looking like this. I know a lot of you might look at this and be like, wow, you know, we've only made $800 so far. And this isn't even technically realized yet because it's still inside of inventory, right? But guys, this is just how it goes. This is Amazon. You need to dedicate a good 3 to 5 months to build this thing up properly with proper foundations, and then we can reap the rewards. That's why, you know, I post a lot of success stories, and I typically wait until these people have sold through inventory and they actually like are cash flowing, because that's when you really start to realize this thing compound, right? Like once you've been able to do it, now you cash flow and you build it out. But none of my students are like, you know, they'll make sales month one and like it looks great. Like this would look great for a new seller. This looks awesome, but you're still not getting that money back until you let it actually fully go through. So hopefully this makes sense, guys. If you watch guys on YouTube that talk about Amazon, they don't talk about this side of things. This is just the reality for everybody that runs an inventory-based business. There's no way around this. And any business that's quick money never lasts. That's why these businesses run for so long. And there's people that have been doing Amazon for 10 to 20 years, making money doing wholesale or whether arbitrage or RA, whatever they're doing, making consistent money from it, is because it's a very long-term business that if you build properly, you can do, but it's not a quick get rich quick type business either. So this is the note to new sellers. Once you watch this is your brutally honest, realistic month one of what it looks like to do Amazon, right? We're in the green, we're making money. We've turned about, and this is again, just based off of about, I think $2,500 worth of spend. We've turned $2,500 into about, what is that? Once we take the profits on top of that. Not even actually, this is wrong. If we take these numbers here, because this is not shipped yet. So out of the stuff that we've currently sent in so far, right? Just the things that have sent in. We have our 515 here, cost of goods. So we'll do this to you guys some math here. 515 cost of goods that have sold. And then we also have our cost of goods in here that are still sitting in there. So out of this much money, $1,275 that we've so far spent and actually sent into Amazon, we've been able to make about $800 on that. So we've turned $1,275 into $2,000 like that. Now just imagine how much this thing actually will start to compound as we start to spend more money and as this inventory starts to go into, and as I get more approvals and as I spend the remainder of the money in here, right? This is gonna quickly start to compound to where if we can manage these margins, which I don't know if we'll be able to manage them at this high of a number because this is very high. Let's just do more conservative numbers. If we can spend about $5,000 and turn this at about a 40%, right now we're doing about 52%, we can expect to make about $2,000 pretty consistently. And again, this is within like a 30 to 45 day period as these thing actually starts to process through and be smooth. And then once we do that, we'll take that $7,000, we'll throw it right back in again. We'll make about 2,800. So then we'll take that 2,800 plus that $7,000. Now we're left with 9,800. We'll do this again at about a 40%. Now we're making 4,000, guys, and we're slowly creeping up to making that $5,000. And then once we hit that number, we're gonna then take those profits and pay ourselves that profits, and then let that same money that we've accumulated keep rotating through. But we're gonna pull the profits. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We're reinvesting profits till we get to about 5K profit a month. Then we'll start to pay ourselves that profit. And again, like I said, we're going to do some cool things with it. Based on these numbers, I'm thinking it's going to take us about 5 to 6 turns. So it's going to take about probably a year-ish with $5,000 and not putting any additional funding in. It'll take us probably about next year in like October to where I expect us to hit 5K consistently, right? So that's what we're shooting for. Now, of course, if you invest more money into it, we could do this probably within 3 months. Not even if we were to put more money into it, but we're not going to do that. I want to make this challenge pretty simple with just $5,000, no additional funding, no credit cards, nothing like that. And we're going to slowly compound this thing so you guys can see what's possible. This was a longer one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, it's just a very brutally honest take of what Amazon actually looks like when it's up and running and what your first month will look like. You're not going to become rich. I'll tell you that. You're not going to become rich, but you can make money. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. And if you watch this video, you're like, this is disgusting. I never want to sell on Amazon. Then good. Don't start this business if you're not ready for this, because you are going to waste money and you're going to waste time and you're going to be pissed. But nothing good in life that's actually long-term is going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. I've learned this several times now. When I was younger, I tried get rich quick things. They never worked. Amazon was the first one that actually worked for me, that actually made money. And that's honestly how any business works, right? It all compounds. It all takes time. Hopefully you guys can understand that. And I like to think that I attract a pretty mature audience also, because I'm so brutally honest and realistic here. And you guys probably already understand this, right? A lot of you that might be older, you understand business takes time, and it's worth it if you do it correctly from the ground up. But yeah, it's not get rich quick. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys need some personal help with this, if this is still something you want to do and you feel like this is actually, this makes sense, I want to do this, then there's a link down below, booking a call, run you through what that looks like. I'm making like super in-depth modules on all these for my group. So they're the ones that are seeing all this, the ones I'm working with one-to-one. They're seeing these things, like the exact methods I'm doing to find these products, the exact numbers. I'm showing them products I'm selling to when I jump on calls. And yeah, if you want access to that, if you want to build this alongside of me, as we build this up, I have my coaching. The link's down below, booking a call. We'll run you through what that looks like, and we'll get things rolling. Anyways, if you missed last week's, I guess like the first foundation video, it's right over here. You can go ahead and watch that if you missed it, if you'd like to keep up to date. And I'll probably be making these videos on like a monthly basis as we progress, and you guys can see what that looks like. And again, if you're in the group, you're probably seeing these pretty much every single week when we jump on. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.